The Department of Family Services Child Protective Services Division investigates between 2,000 to 3,000 complaints of abuse and neglect every year. The law requires that these complaints must be investigated and resolved within 45 days from the date of the report. In matters of child abuse and neglect, intake specialists are on the front lines, keeping children safe. It can be a very demanding but rewarding career. Intake specialists are some of the unsung heroes of Fairfax County. Reports of child abuse and neglect usually begin with a phone call.
When a call comes into the hotline, I document all the information that the caller is given. If it does meet the criteria, I will write it up, do all of the necessary steps to get it to a field social worker.
Intake specialists are often the first contact a family will have with the Department of Family Services. Simply put, their mission is to assess and ensure the safety of children in Fairfax County.
Essentially, we try to see the child away from the child's home. Typically, this may be in a school setting, a daycare setting, somewhere other than where the abuse may have occurred. We generally will make contact with the parent or the caretaker. This may be done with a call, scheduling it, or it may be an unannounced visit. In any event, we typically will go to a person's residence, and oftentimes that person may not be welcoming of our presence.
An intake specialist will then create a safety plan in conjunction with their supervisor and the family. The plan determines what must be done to keep the children safe in their home or with relatives or friends. In the most critical situations, the child may be placed in foster care.
Child abuse is not about poverty. It's about a situation when the parent is not acting in the best interest of their child. So you have to be prepared to see children who may be hurt. Your job will be, how will I assist this family in making sure that child is safe?
As part of their contact with a family, intake specialists may also refer parents or caregivers to other services within the county, such as drug and alcohol treatment, mental health treatment, parenting groups, or referrals for affordable childcare. Intake specialists have a difficult, demanding, and complex job. It takes a special kind of person to succeed.
Some people have a misconception that in Child Protective Services, and I think the name speaks to that alone, that they will spend most of their time working with children. Well, that's a very small part of what you do if you think in terms of one-on-one with a child. Once you've identified the need for services with a family, most of what you do will be working on behalf of children and their families.
It's a lot of paperwork and documentation on the computer. You have to be able to pay a lot of attention to detail and prioritize your work among the different crises of each case. You have to document everything that is being said and done so you can reflect back to it. Because a lot of times we have to go to court and represent a child, so documentation must be accurate.
So I think with new workers, I think they just get overwhelmed in the beginning just because there's so much to remember and there's so many different things that we have to do in our job. But it's taking it one step at a time. It's having the guidance from your supervisor or the senior social workers in the unit. And I do think it takes a good year to really grasp this job.
Because abuse and neglect doesn't necessarily happen during traditional business hours, intake specialists often work nights, early mornings, and weekends. But that is paired with flexible hours and overtime compensation.
Yes, this is definitely not a 9-to-5 job, but one of the reasons that I have been in CPS for as long as I have is because of the flexibility.
There are not always easy answers or quick solutions, and that can take an emotional toll on an intake specialist.
The hardest part for me is keeping the balance between personal life and your professional life. At some point, you have to know when to cut off your duty.
The hardest part of this job for me is dealing with the emotional impact of seeing some of these severely abused or neglected children. And I deal with that by really reaching out to my coworkers or my supervisors who know this job and talking with them.
Even though intake specialists have an individual caseload of 18 to 25 families, they are part of a team that works to support each other and the children who need their help.
There's always getting input from other people is such a valuable part of our job, because we're not working by ourselves and we're not making those decisions by ourselves. It's always a team approach.
What makes me proud to be part of the Child Protective Services team in Fairfax County is that I know I can rely on a lot of teamwork. I can rely on supervisors and co-workers that are there to help me.
But I feel like the workers in the field care about the families. They're very competent, they're very capable, so I know that after I have passed the case on to them, I can assure the person on the other end of the line, this person is going to do the best job that they can for this family.
Abuse and neglect is something that is very hard for society to understand and sometimes even accept that it exists. That's why it's so important that the right people be attracted to this work.
The goal of this is to keep children safe. And for me, the satisfaction is in knowing that I've done my part, not that I've done everything.
If you are interested in a professionally challenging but rewarding career, consider applying for an intake specialist position with the Department of Family Services Child Protective Services Division and become a champion for children.